Hi everyone, this is Startup Bright and we're here to talk all things startups related. This is the time and place where founders pitch their ideas and we talk about their vision, products and services, teams, problems and goals. Today we have Zoltan from Gitential.
Yes.
And he will be pitching his startup for Startup Bright and hopefully impress us with his new product and his startup.
Okay, so thank you for the opportunity, first of all. So Gitential. Gitential is a combination of two words, Git, which is probably the most well-known version control system nowadays in software development, and potential. So we want to maximize the potential of developers and web development in general. We also like to say we're like Google Analytics for software development. We want to create a dashboard. That's kind of our first step where we want to go, where you see the data that relates to all your developments. So how your engineers are doing, what's happening with your projects, basically purely on a technical level, based on information that we gather from code repositories. This is the high-level pitch that we are doing, basically. It's Git repository analytics. We analyze what's changing with the code. We provide value to the developers themselves, because I truly believe that everybody who wants to be a good developer needs feedback, needs objective feedback about their work. Yeah. We provide value to team leads who are actually overseeing the work of these developers. In some cases, they have more direct reports than they can actually oversee. They can manually review the code of. Mm-hmm. So actually, we aggregate the data for them. We make it easier for them to understand who's committing what part of the code, who's changing which part of the code, how many times are they committing, how frequently are they committing, what are the typical times when they commit, what are the typical days when they commit. And on a third level, actually, we also give feedback to whole teams. So the teams themselves, to their stand-ups, we have specific views in our application for stand-ups. We have specific views for retrospective meetings if they're following and the typical Agile and Scrum methodologies. So we try to help. We increase transparency in web development. And through that, we believe that we're going to be increasing productivity. So this is especially key, the lack of transparency, the bigger the teams are. And through our early traction, we actually do see that, it's obviously not the small startup with 3 to 5 developers where we create the most value, but it's much rather the more corporate environments where there are like hundreds, if not thousands of developers working together. Or another typical use case would be when you're outsourcing your development to third parties, when you don't have an insight into who's doing what, you just have to rely on information, in many cases from non-technical people, relaying information to you about what's happening in your development, and you don't have direct insight and direct information. So this can be advantages, we believe, for the companies who are outsourcing, but it's, again, the same thing for the agencies themselves who are providing development as a service, because they can on one hand say that they're providing total transparency, and this is then in line with their invoicing and everything else on their business side. And at the same time, Gitential is a great tool for internal, as I've just mentioned before, for using it internally within teams as well. We've seen, and again, giving you a couple of examples of or use cases, we've seen examples where we could, in hindsight, identify developers who left teams we can identify their behavior, and we can actually, what we say today is that we can give you like yellow or red flags about team members who are at risk of leaving the team. Either because their engagement is changing, it's decreasing, they're not collaborating that much with their co-workers. We can identify this on a factual basis just based on repository changes, evolution of code repositories. We can also give you value as to how to assemble a new team. If you're looking for specific knowledge or know-how of specific frameworks or technologies, we can tell you, this guy or that girl actually has X hours or X lines of codes of experience in that technology. So it's not just going to have to be based on urban legends or based on you think that this is going to be a good team. Also, how you put people together, you can see how they collaborated in the past based on their past behavior. So there are many ways. It's on one side, it's a productivity tool, but at the same time, it can be a human resources tool as well, because you could use it for promotion decisions. You can use it for all sorts of HR-related aspects. One thing that we actually always ask is that whenever Gitential is introduced, we ask our customers to have complete transparency about the introduction. We never want to be seen as the police or somebody who's spying on developers. So all the data should be available to all the team members, because that's one of our goals, is actually that you as a developer can become a better developer if you learn about yourself, and you can benchmark to other developers. You can benchmark your own work to other developers' work, either in-house or actually in the future. What we believe where we can go is also we can benchmark to outside companies, or you can even benchmark to the best of the best. Like how does a Google developer behave, or how does a Facebook developer behave? Those benchmarks are going to be available. And then I can speak a little bit about the business. So our business model is basically we offer our services free to all open source repositories. So all your public repositories are free to be analyzed. You can learn about the tool. You can learn about whatever you do in your free time, or in the kind of the common space that's more to the common goal of humanity, I would say, in the open source world that's freely available. We'd like to support that. Whenever you do something for profit, we're also going to be, we're a business as well, so we need to pay for our servers, and obviously we have a business operations as well, and developers who are working on Gitential.
Do you offer also repository location? Or you're
using
existing repository locations to do your...
So we don't host repositories, but we can do on-premise solutions, obviously, because we're, like as I've said, our initial traction automatically came from larger organizations who are more sensitive to, and in many cases, more sensitive to hosting in the cloud. So they don't want to share their code repositories. In many cases, they don't even have their repositories in the cloud. So they want Gitential to run on their own servers as well. So we do on-prem we do have an on-prem version of Gitential as well. But I would say the basic version, just like with GitHub, is in the cloud. And just to finish my thought on the business model, so it's basically per contributing developer per month is the way we monetize, and it's anything from around $12, $15 to $20 a month per developer. So just think about it. How much a month of how much is a month of work of a developer worth for you, and if you can just make it. I'm usually just saying like 3% more efficient or more productive through using Gitential. You only pay max is $20 a month for Gitential. So I think that's only, if you only think about the salary, but then you also have to take into account what's the value of that developer, what's the value that that developer creates in a month. It's going to be way more than his or her salary. So that's kind of our benchmark, and that's where that's why I think that just through looking at the data and getting the big picture, I think we're creating a tremendous value to all the companies. Basically, software is eating the world, as you know. I don't actually remember which VC said it, but it was one VC that actually said this, and I think it's actually really happening. I see this happening, and we have incoming requests from companies who are not really software companies, but still they have 20, 50 developers in their teams, and they want to understand what they're doing.
Okay, I have tons of questions.
Yeah.
I'm a developer myself, and Michael here, who is also part of Startup Bright, he's also software developer, and we use Git on a regular basis. So how did you come up with this idea?
Well, it's two things. So actually, it's not the idea is not mine. The idea really resonated with me because I'm non-technical actually. So I have a tech co-founder in the company who came up with the idea. But the idea actually is a spin-off from an HR tech company. So the HR tech company was trying to match developers with job descriptions. And my co-founder's idea originally was that, okay, how do I understand who is a good developer, and how do I understand their strengths, what tech stacks they're really working on, versus just reading their resumes. Or developers, I don't think they're even present on LinkedIn anymore because they're bombarded so much with recruiters. So that it's really difficult to understand that. And then you go to GitHub, yes, you see actually some of their open source work there, but all the private repositories are hidden.
Yeah, that is a problem because I, for example, don't have the time to go and do any open source stuff. Like, I'm so busy doing actual enterprise or other work that I can go to open source, I can read some stuff, I can leave comments, but I never really actively participate or contribute to code. And that means, when you apply for a job or when you go on an interview and they ask you for what is your open source
I have
poster,
good
I don't have the time.
I have good news for you actually, because Gitential, and that's kind of our side business for now, I would say, but and we're not focusing on this at all at this point, but we're the best resume ever for any developer. Because actually, if your company opens up its repositories and uses Gitential, we see all of your contributions in all those private repositories, and we actually keep the metadata. So we don't care about the source code. We actually discard the source code after we do our analysis. We delete everything. We don't even want to touch it. We don't want to take that risk. But the good thing is that we keep the metadata, and that metadata actually stays with you for however long you're going to keep your Gitential account. So if you're ever been working for a company that uses our services, we have your metadata, and your resume from that point onwards is going to be factual. It's not going to be like, at this company I've done C, or I've done Python, and and this. You're going to be able to showcase that because there's going to be a third party, Gitential, that's going to provide that data to whoever company you're going to interview for.
So here's a question for you. I am okay. So being developer, that is good, but at certain degree or certain moment in your career, you eventually decide to grow in your career and become manager, become director, and so on and so on. I'm actually in that situation. I've been managing and directing software teams for a long time now, and I don't have code to show necessarily. Is your company offering anything that can help different levels of career advancements. For example, this guy managed a team that was doing this and this and that.
Yeah. So what we do is actually you can create teams within your repositories the way you want to slice or dice basically your developers. These are obviously tags. So one developer can be in your front end team. They can be in their real team, like their project team, and they can also be in a junior developer team. So you can actually compare those, on so many levels as basically you want to. So you can compare and benchmark that developer to all the front end guys. You can have them in their real environment and see how they collaborate with the others. But you can also check like, okay, is this girl ready to be promoted? Does she actually show characteristics of a senior developer? Does she review more code? Does she delete other people's codes? Or is her code actually stable and does her code stay in the code base for a long time? Or is it something that's always like changed and deleted by others? In the future, we're also going to be looking at things like code reviews and even I believe we could very easily process natural language, like what are the comments on specific commits. Yeah. So there's so many ways where you can actually create your own teams, and even if you're a manager or if you're a senior developer that you don't write code that much, we could still analyze and give you data about your team. Yeah. I think as a manager, I think that's your output is the output of your team. So I think that you can still compare that to another line manager's output, and we could still learn also about how your team collaborates. Is it better, worse than
collaboration, or there is still some islands within the team that you don't know about?
Yeah, and also in many cases I was surprised when I was looking at team dynamics that it's not the CTO, it's not the senior developer who is actually the connecting spot or the go-to person in the team. So you can discover these surprises where actually those are the informal connections are actually mirrored in the work that's actually happening in the repositories as well.
Okay, so tell me a little bit more about your team. Apparently you have a technical person. Just go ahead.
Yeah, so we've had, I would say, our ups and downs in our teams. I mean, we're a startup, and honestly speaking, I mean, at the time of the recording, we're just about to close our pre-seed round. So thank you. I mean, it's not signed yet, but I hope that by the time somebody listens to this will be a done deal. And you can check it because we'll try to update our profile as well. So we've been bootstrapped, and obviously with a bootstrap startup, we've been using more resources and less resources. We've had, as I've said in the beginning, we're kind of a spin-off from an HR tech startup. So we've been using some of the resources from our kind of mother company. But right now we're a 3-person team basically. And obviously after closing this round, we're the most important thing, and we already have a pipeline. It's going to be hiring, so we have to go faster. We understand that the market is so there is a need for our services. We're probably going to cover a little bit about marketing in the later part of our discussion.
You can go ahead and
but I just wanted to bring it up that we're in that really favorable or really comfortable situation where we have incoming requests. So from huge customers actually. So in some cases, like I can give you one example, is like 2 weeks ago, the world's fifth, I think I wouldn't give a name, but I think it's like the fifth biggest airline in the world that got in touch with us that they want to work with us. So,
That's so cool.
and it is because I think there are a couple of similar services out there in the market, but I think there is no direct competitor at this moment on the market. So this gives us advantage, but and then I can speak about the marketing side. The disadvantage is actually that we're kind of creating a category here.
Mm-hmm.
So software development analytics is not a product category that has been out there for a long time. A lot of people say that it's impossible to do this.
Well, maybe you found a way. It's because that kind of analytics it's pretty big task, and that's why it sounds impossible. But if you found a way to kind of twist and look at it at a different angle, you may have a shot.
Yeah. So what we say, and this is kind of going back to our marketing, is we're never gonna tell you that John or Jane is your best developer. I don't think that we're there yet. I'm not sure. I mean, I think our vision. Sorry, it's not I think, but our vision is actually that we want to get there. Uh-huh. We want to give you as a developer and you as a manager specific pieces of advice on what you should be doing or what you should be changing in your work. But we're not there yet. How I usually describe it is that we're at the level where Google Analytics is. Mm-hmm. Google Analytics gives you the picture, like, okay, these are your visitors. This is how many conversions you have. These are the sources of your conversions. This is where you should be spending your marketing dollars. But Google doesn't even say that to you right now. I mean, you have to understand. And we're right now at the level where we can give you the picture.
This is the old notion, data versus information. Right?
Yeah.
So you're at the data level. You want to become eventually information.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. So that's why I think that we have to provide So what we need to do right now with our marketing is basically educate the market that there is a solution out there, that it's not just like counting the lines of codes that developers do, because obviously yes, we thought about that and we quickly discovered that that's exactly the wrong way to go. And there are solutions out there and that still do this, but in so many cases, if you write more lines of code, you actually just have more bugs in them. So it's just counterproductive if you do that. So that's why we're focusing on some other metrics, especially around collaboration and as I was saying before, like code churn and things that actually are going to be a good proxies for code quality as well.
Okay. I was going to ask you about problem solution fit and product market fit, but it looks like you already have customers and you're very close to actually be 100% sure that you have something that can be marketed and can be sold. So I believe you already can answer this question. So we're gonna. Do you have anything in addition to say? Why do you think this is a good product market fit?
Well, obviously the incoming requests are always the best. I think when normally I would like to see paying customers. Uh-huh. To me, that's kind of a validation, and I think you like phrased it well, that we're just there where we can say that we have product market fit. We're not scaling yet, so we need the funding to be able to scale and to reach more customers, and to reach more of our enterprise world customers as well. We need to open more channels. Obviously, right now we're using content as a channel for incoming requests. We're putting out just a couple of pieces of contents here and there on the web, and it seems that there are so many people interested in our area that they just find it and they just come to us, ask the questions, and as long as we can answer those questions, we can sign those deals.
Okay, that sounds like you found a real need, real problem, and you found solution for that problem, and it looks like it's working on marketing level as well. So at this point, you said that you are going to receive seed money.
Yeah.
And are you gonna share with us more information about it? What you're seeking in investment, and do you plan to continue with this process to raise more money?
So I mean, we're going to be raising, I would call it more of a pre-seed funding that we're going through right now. It's under $1 million that we're actually raising in this round.
Okay.
But obviously we see that, if our business continues to grow like this, and, we're trying to do our homework, that, we don't want to be back and in fundraising mode in less than a year at least, or in a good case, I would say 18 months. But I'd still be very happy to start to establish those relationships as soon as in the next couple of months, because I really believe in long-term relationships when it comes to investors. So we're not going to be just seeking money. We're actually going to be seeking investors who can help us, especially in the enterprise world. I've already spoken to a couple of companies. We were a little bit early for them because of our monthly revenues are not hitting their benchmarks yet. But in a couple of months we're going to be there. And there are a couple of companies or venture funds here and SoCal, but I would think that maybe up in the Bay Area there are even more who are more opportunities for us, given that
more customers.
Customers as well. Although as I've said, I mean, we're not focusing on startups. We're focusing more on tech companies, and we've seen traction. We've seen traction from, big, and I'm not even sure how you call them now. I think it's Big Four, right? The consulting companies. I think there are 4 now. Yeah. So or not even one, actually, like 2 of the Big Four companies actually have been interested in working with us, taking our product to their customers, using it on in their internal processes. So it's not necessarily just Bay Area typical tech companies that can become our customers. So it's not necessarily just your typical Silicon Valley tech companies that are our customers, but whichever technological company actually who employs developers, the more they employ, the bigger value they can extract from Gitential.
Okay. Do you have an exit strategy, you and your partners? Have you thought about it?
Well, we know that being in a tech startup is not for a short run. So we're in this for the long run, definitely. I've built companies in the past. I've worked for startups, and I've started startups as well, and I've seen that this is where I really like to spend my time, and I'm really enjoying this very dynamic stage of early stage company building. So I would say that our exit is going to be somewhere down the road. It's way too early, but obviously there are companies who could really extract a lot of value from our services. We've seen companies actually acquire similar companies or there are companies offering similar services than what we've done, just to take the knowledge and the know-how in-house so they could use it. That was more like kind of an acqui-hire situation, but we're more in this to build we're in this for like the hundreds of millions of dollars of revenues level. So, and I think we can easily take it there. given the number of developers out there in the world, and given the number of developers using Git.
Yeah.
I think we have a huge our TAM is pretty big.
As entrepreneurs, we have ups and downs and humiliating stories, funny stories. Do you have any story that you want to share with us?
Yeah, I was actually thinking of like I don't really have anything funny that has happened with us. I think I would more share something with my peers. Is that my world or my job before starting Gitential used to be like in the corporate world. So I was like SVP product for one of the biggest marketplace operators, and even though I've started up companies before, I kind of like got accustomed to a very comfortable situation. Yeah. And I would say that the biggest shock to me was learning about my own behavior, is that the ups and downs, as you were saying, are way bigger, and these actually have had a huge effect on even on my private life, but also on just like how I feel myself, and I think it's a big learning for me, and I'm sorry it's not a funny story. Yeah. But I think it's like you have to be ready, and I think I honestly was probably not ready for this when I started this journey, and I had to discover this about myself. And I have to say that my wife also helped a lot, and she was like constantly giving me feedback about like, yeah, but why are you like this now? Why like what's happening with you? So it's good to have some sort of an outside support system in place when you start this journey of working on your own, because you're gonna feel that it's the end of the world so many times that you've never felt it before, and that you're going bankrupt and you're never gonna survive this. And then once that first customer calls, you feel that yeah, you're gonna become the next unicorn. Yeah. And of course neither of these is true. So you just need to digest. Yeah, you just need to digest and understand like why you're feeling this, and better understand your feelings about this journey.
All right. Do you have titles at your company yet? What is your position? Doing everything?
Yeah, it's I mean there's the techie guy and the business guy, so it's kind of like we're like this, and then we have a developer.
It's a good combination, right? Because only technology guys, they can only go that long. They need business person. They need somebody.
Yeah, I mean, but I also have to say it's not easy to be in my shoes in this company in so many ways, because I'm talking to CTOs so many times. And yeah, I'm sure you could have asked me like deep technical questions that I wouldn't know the answer to. But I'm doing my best. I mean, I've said I've worked in product before, so I know some about technology. Yeah. Obviously, I'm not a developer myself, so I don't even want to look like one.
You're learning as you go. So.
Yeah. So, but so no role, like no no. We do have roles, but we don't have titles, I would say.
Okay. Well, Zoltan, thank you very much. It's been a privilege to talk to you and to have you on Startup Bright. I'm pretty sure our paths are going to cross again sometime in the future, and I wish you good luck.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having me.
Thank you.